sure you've seen the movie Le Mans 66, also known as Ford versus Ferrari, and the loosely factual story of Ken Miles, Carroll Shelby and the development of the Ford GT40 to take on and win the 24 Hours of Le Mans race. If, like me after watching it, you fancy getting your hands on a Ford GT, what are the choices? How much do they cost? And how difficult are they to find? Well, stay tuned and I'll give you all you need to know. First, let's consider the genuine Ford options. An original 1960s Ford GT40 is pretty close to unattainable. Only around 100 were built between 1964 and 69, and most were race cars. Depending on its condition, race history and other provenance, you'll have to find upwards of £2 million. As an extreme example, the Golf liveried GT40 that won Le Mans in both 68 and 69 last sold for just over £20 million. Way too much for most of us. The next option from Ford is their 2004 GT model. Larger but similar in shape and design to the GT40, there were more than 4,000 built, and around 100 of those are registered in the UK. Although it's cheaper than the original, one of these 20-year-old Chargers will still cost you between £200,000 and £400,000. The last of the blue oval options is the road-going version of Ford's successful Return to Le Mans GT Racer. Although there are echoes of the GT40 in the overall shape, this is a very different car. It doesn't have a V8 engine, although it's by no means lacking in power. Produced between 2017 and 2022, all the cars are now out of the first owner's anti-flipping restrictions and are being listed by supercar dealers from £750,000 up to £1 million. That's a genuine Ford GT car out of the running for most people then. So let's take a look at replicas and continuations. As you would expect of such an iconic sports car, there are many recreation options, with an equally varied price range. Top of the tree would be the Super Performance GT40. Not a replica, but a licensed continuation model, eligible for the official Shelby registry and carrying a GT40P/2000 series chassis number. Built from the original drawings, their authenticity can vary from 80% of parts interchangeable with those on the original cars to 100% and eligible for historic racing. Understandably, 20th Century Fox didn't fancy shooting Le Mans 66 with the real thing, so it was Super Performance they turned to for the star cars. In the UK, official supplier Le Mans Coupes will sell you a new GT40 in a spec and livery of your choice, starting at close to £200,000. Pre-owned models can be found in the classifieds from upwards of £100,000, and many of these continuations will either hold their value or even appreciate gradually, depending on their age and specification. When Ken Vincent Atwell, production manager at Ford's Swansea factory, was asked to repair a GT40's GRP bodywork, he also got permission to create moulds to make copies to build a replica. The KVA GT40 was a very basic lookalike, with poor handling, using a combination of Ford, Citroën and VW running gear, and powered by a Ford Essex V6 engine. Ken's kit gradually evolved and was also adopted and improved upon by others, like GT Developments, spawning the wide variety of replicas we find today. Most often, these replicas are sold in component form as kits, and you'll need a decent garage or workshop to build them in, as well as good practical skills. If you have neither, or want a GT40 right now, there are pre-built cars available too, but try to find one built professionally or by a reputable and highly skilled amateur. And make sure it's a Ford V8 powered car, because it makes a big difference on resale. To avoid carrying a Q plate, you'll also need vehicle type approval, which most kit makers can help with. Be sure to check out the GT40 Enthusiast Club, where you will find a good deal of information, cars for sale and access to a community of owners and builders. Useful too is the GT40s forum, where you'll find builds of most replica kits documented. Not made here in the UK, but supplied through a reseller near Cambridge, Cape Advanced Vehicles are based in South Africa, and they don't make a kit, but either a rolling replica for owners to install their own locally preferred engine and transmission, or a complete turnkey car. The finished vehicle is visually authentic, but their stainless steel chassis setup has been developed to allow greater flexibility and to give a more modern driving experience. They also fit a full soft leather retro interior, making the CAV what they say is the most comfortable and user-friendly GT40 replica. Expect to pay upwards of £100,000 for a new bespoke vehicle, or 70 to 90,000 for a pre-owned car. The Southern GT, now sold by AK Sports Cars as the AK40, is considered to be one of the best and most authentic of the replica kits in the UK. Owners like the way the Southern drives and handles, the chassis having been further developed from the GTD to also give more legroom and less pedal offset. Taller drivers may want to specify a gurney bubble to give more headroom. Self-builders can expect to pay around £55,000 to get a rolling chassis, without engine or gearbox, or you can find pre-owned, pre-built examples for £80,000 to £95,000. Well-respected Tornado sports cars, based in Kidderminster, are the longest established replica kit manufacturer in the UK, with 40 years in business and over 30 years supplying GT40 kits. Buyers have a choice of space frame or monocoque chassis, and self-assembly costs start at around £57,000, depending on spec. If you want them to build one for you, it would be £96,000, with a 3-month lead time. The Tornado's longevity and popularity also means there are plenty of pre-built cars in the classified ads for £50,000 to £100,000. Down at the budget end of the market, and currently for sale as a business, Kent-based GT40 gives very keen self-builders the option of starting with a flat pack of pre-cut steel tubes to weld together into a space frame chassis. Unless you're a competent welder, it's probably wise to go for the deluxe starter kit, which gives you a ready assembled and powder-coated frame along with running gear and body panels to install yourself. With reported estimates of £20,000 to £30,000 by the time you've completed the self-build, this is clearly one of the cheapest ways into having a GT40 on your driveway. But do your homework and read the feedback on the forums to make sure you go in with your eyes open. With the classic motoring world becoming much less sniffy about recreations and replicas, and marques themselves producing continuation models, a high-quality look-alike GT40 in a historic livery will attract a great deal of attention and respect, both on the road and at car shows. Even with a healthy performance car budget of around £75,000, you're clearly not going to be Ken Miles or Bruce McLaren. But for the price of a decent Porsche 911, we could all turn out a convincing Christian Bale. What do you think of GT40 continuations and replicas? Leave your comments below and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you next time. Bye bye.